Hey everyone, Stephanie Lucrezio coming to you live. I'm so excited to be bringing a high vibe conversation to everybody tonight. I know that today has been a really tough day in the tri-state area. New York, we had the announcement that schools are closing, public schools are closing. Pennsylvania, we got the ridiculous announcement that you have to wear masks inside of your house. I don't know at this point how Governor Wolf is going to enforce such a thing. We have Governor Murphy telling us how many people we can have in our homes for Thanksgiving. And I feel overall from the messages that I'm getting is people are really struggling with their overall way of being, showing up every day, having that great energy, that high vibration in the midst of all this uncertainty and fear. And what I want everybody to know is that this is a deliberate attempt by government to basically crush the human spirit, to control us, to keep us in a place where we are separated, divided, confused, angry, and fearful, because those are the lowest vibrations you could possibly imagine being. And when you have a group of high vibing, high energy, in action individuals, the government cannot keep those types of spirits down. So the goal tonight is to take us from all the way down here and bring us up all the way over here. And I will tell you, I do these lives, I do these podcasts, I have all this content that I deliver to you, but it is a daily choice that I make to be able to rise above the chaos and the fear and the anxiety that even I feel in the uncertain times that we're living. So I recently crossed paths with one of my dear friends from one of my former lives. Joe DiBianca is a mindset coach. He's a business coach. He is somebody who works with people on a daily basis to help them to outproduce the problems, the anxieties, the fears that they have. And he's going to get into detail tonight about that vibrational scale, the things that keep us down, the things that take us up. So I'm so excited to welcome you, Joe. Welcome.
Steph, thank you for having me. It's absolutely great to be here, and even better to collaborate with you once again.
I know, it's been a long time. I remember our days down in Philly at our conferences, talking together, going out for dinners. And it's crazy how, during this time, I've really been reaching out to a lot of people because I feel like that need for community, that need to connect with people, it has been so isolating and awful. And I can't imagine. I mean, you coach, 10 hours a day?
6 to 10 hours a day. Yes.
Yeah. So what are you seeing in your clients? Like, how is this manifesting with people that you're working with, primarily entrepreneurs, people that are building businesses?
Yes, people that are building businesses. And I have a few who are, dealing with anxiety and overwhelm and not sure what they're feeling and how to handle what's going on. So there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of inner turmoil that people are dealing with, uncertainty, fear, and it's exactly what.
You there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. So I know you have that vibrational scale. Can you, let's talk it through, because I don't think people realize, I say at the end of every single one of my yoga classes that your energy matters and it's contagious. And I think now more than ever that statement is true. And when you walk around the supermarket, when you're outside, people don't make eye contact. People are, maintaining their distance. Even inside of the yoga space where we once were hugging and interacting and speaking, people are on their little mats, 6 feet away from each other. One's in one corner, one's in the other corner. That sense of community, of collaboration, of human connection has kind of fallen by the wayside during this pandemic. So let's take people through that vibrational scale and let's talk about the importance of these things.
Absolutely, Steph. So anybody can Google this. This is the map of consciousness, and it's not the best version, but you can see the emotions here: shame, guilt, apathy, fear, anger, and it goes way up to happiness, peace, joy, bliss, enlightenment, forgiveness, right? And each emotion has a number next to it. And the bottom level emotions, for instance, apathy, fear, guilt, shame, anger, resentment, they're all negatively charged numbers. The higher level emotions, courage, willingness, forgiveness, peace, happiness, joy, bliss, enlightenment, they're all positively charged. They also have a corresponding number. So the best way, and I could talk about this chart for hours, but to keep it really simple, this is emotional etheric energy, and everybody has this invisible antenna that's sticking out of their forehead, and it emits the emotional etheric energy. It emits the energy from this chart. It's like when you're with your girlfriends or your best friend, when a stranger comes into the group that you're really not sure of, you say, I don't get this warm and fuzzy feeling from this person. You don't get a good vibe, right? You don't get that vibe. So that's what you're feeling. You're feeling something in this chart here. You really don't know what it is. From my training, I know I can look at someone and feel it, and I can hear their words and their sentence structure and know where they are in the chart. But from that, I mean, I have to protect my energy when I walk around during the day and stay in my bubble, because I tend to take that. So depending on where you are in this chart, right? Depending on where you are in the map of consciousness, that's the view you have. So if you're at the bottom level, look, 85% of the world's population falls below the level 200. So 85% is in the bottom half of the box. 15% is in the top half of the box. If it wasn't for the 15%, the world would implode. That shows you the power of the 15%, right? So according to where you are in this chart, that's the view that you have. That's the lenses that you're looking through. That's why here we are, knowing our information, knowing what we know, seeing everything for what it is, our truth. The people who don't see it, it's because they can't. They're looking through a completely different set of lenses. So they really can't see what we see. They can only see from where they are in this map of consciousness. So that is their view. And what the agenda really wanted is to instill fear and anger and separateness and divide in the world, is what they wanted. And it's like for a lot of people, it's like they flipped the switch in their brain, and the fear mechanism, they flipped the survival fight or flight mechanism. And these people are terrified. They're frightened out of their minds. They don't care about working. They don't care about business. They don't care about enjoying life. They care about having a mask on their face, staying in their home, being safe, and practicing this virtue signaling, and they're terrified. So this is exactly where they are. They're in the bottom level of the map of consciousness, and they really don't see what we see. Right. But as you rise up, as you raise your vibration, your view, your lenses, what you're seeing becomes it's completely different. It's completely different.
How do you rise above? And, because I know for myself, one of the biggest things that I deal with right now, I literally have to give myself a pep talk before I walk into a store. Because you have that anxiety of knowing that the choices that I make may differ from the choices that other people make. And my choices are not the popular ones right now, unfortunately, especially in the areas that we're living. Yes. So it's constant fear and anxiety about what is going to happen, not being able to control. And I literally ground in my car. I plant both feet on the floor. I put my hands on my seat. I close my eyes, and I picture my son. And my son is the reason why I do everything that I do in my life, whether it's building a business, teaching a class, doing some research on something, or walking into a store and being the only person that's standing out in the crowd. But it wears on you. Like, I feel like it's like a cumulative effect, and it's harder to dig yourself out of the abyss of that anxiety and that shame and that fear and all the things that you're inundated every single day. I mean, even just turning on basic mindless TV, where you used to be able to turn it on and escape from the things of the world. Every single show on TV has changed their plot lines to correlate with COVID-19. The masks, the PPE, the ventilators, all the things. So there's no escaping. And I feel you can just feel people's lights dimming. And it's like something, you know, Tony Robbins talks about priming, where you like jump up and down and do all the things. And I do that sometimes. I really do. I have my dance party at my office.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have to. Were you there with me for that?
No, Alicia and I have it here. We have our dance party here, so I get it.
Did you do Unleash the Power Within with me in
I did not.
No,
I did not.
So what would you recommend for people that are really feeling that way? Because a lot of it, you said courage is a high vibration. So it's funny because I have the courage, but at the same time, I have the anxiety. So I'm on both ends of the scale at certain points of the day.
Right. Yes. And you know what, Stephanie, we're human beings. So it's not like once you rise up in the chart that you stay there. We're gonna go up and down, right? But it's about how quickly you recover to rise up back into the higher vibrational energy, right? And I found when this whole pandemic first started, I was angry because I'm like, I'm looking at these people. Why do you mask? Are you kidding me? Like, why are you're buying this? You're really buying this? But and I had there was a lot of breathing. There was a lot of deep breaths. There was a lot of letting go and having this understanding that they really don't see what I see, and they may never see what I see or what you see, right? So we have to have compassion for them. So, I mean, you talked about TV. I had no idea because I haven't watched TV in almost 12 years, but I was having a conversation with a bunch of our kind of people in Florida, woke folks over there, and they were talking about what was happening on TV, just like you said. And I said, oh my.
Yeah. It's crazy because This Is Us, one of my favorite shows. I watched it last week or 2 weeks ago when it first came on. I watched the first couple of moments, and it was insane to see how many references were made to COVID-19. Oh, there you are. Okay, you snapped out for a second. I don't know what happened. We missed what you said.
Yeah, you were talking. I didn't say anything there, but I mean, you asked me what to do and how to protect your energy and how to raise up. I mean, what I teach in my coaching practice is actually letting go. And I'm not talking about letting go in a dismissive sense, like everybody says, just let go, just let go. All you have to do is let go. Bullshit. They haven't even done it, nor could they ever define the term. So what it really means, letting go, is it's the ability to separate your feelings from the events that have shaped them. So you are no longer connected to them. So you are no longer connected to them.
I love it. And it's, it's like
are the past events in our lives, because we've all been traumatized in some way, whether it be sexually, physically, emotionally. I happen to hit the trifecta. So true story. And all these events, I mean, keep us somewhere down here, right? And in the bottom levels of the box, and those emotions are intoxicating. They're intoxicating. And these emotions they're really uncomfortable. But we've spent so much time there that we think that they're comfortable. And then we look at the other side, courage, happiness, peace, joy, bliss. We look over there and we say, I don't know about that over there. That looks really uncomfortable, but it's really comfortable. You just have to get over there. Right. Yeah. And it's about doing the work.
Yeah. It's the transition. Like, I remember one of our coaches saying that people are addicted to disappointment and struggle. And I think that looking at what's happening now, that really has to be true, because we are just falling in line with all of these nonsensical, tyrannical policies that are putting out there that make no sense, that don't serve anybody. And I think to myself, wow, people really are addicted to the struggle and the disappointment. So it's, the thing about it is like you said, keeping that shield, not being able to let it in. But the problem that I find is people place so much meaning on everything. Everything has a meaning. Everything that people say and do, we don't take anything at face value as humans. We want to analyze and just figure everything out. So it's basically, I tell my yoga students, get out of your brain and get into your physical body. Because when you can get into your physical body, you can actually feel the feelings and be able to talk through how crazy some of the things that we say to ourselves actually are.
Right. That's a great point, Steph, because most people, their body is running their brain, and it should be reversed. They're actually not even in their body, especially now. They're out of their body. They're in fight or flight all the time, all the time. And when you get in touch with what's going on inside, when you can ask yourself, coach yourself, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Where is it coming from? And how am I going to let this go? How am I going to release this from my body?
And when you have all those traumas and you're used to living on that bottom scale, what kind of work, that internal work, that really hard work, what does it take to get out of that place where you're stuck, that you live for so long, that's so comfortable and so cozy, even though it's awful? What is the process that we have to go through as humans of this letting go? Like, what does it look like to have a trifecta of abuse, a trifecta of trauma, to come from that place of living that way and then getting to a place where you're comfortable being peaceful and blissful and joyful?
Wow, what a great question. So, I mean, I had a mom who resented me for being born. I was the surprise. My mom didn't want me. I was 11 years born from my sister. My mom didn't want me. She resented me. My mom was not capable of giving love or receiving love. She was physically there, but I never had that mom-child bond. Never. And I can never please her. No matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. So she never loved me. She resented me. And I felt that all through my childhood. But as a child, I didn't know that. I was a boy. I was a little boy, but I knew there was something missing. And I just didn't know what it was. She couldn't receive my love. She couldn't receive my father's love, nor could she give it back. So that was one. And then between the ages of 9 and 12, I was sexually violated in every single way that you can possibly imagine by a guy in the neighborhood for 4 years in a row. And that's something you don't know about me.
I did not know that. No.
Yep. Wow. And he not only did it to me, he did it to the entire neighborhood of boys. We had orgies in this guy's house, young boys and this one man.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's like a movie.
People was like just hanging out with the boys, like people trusted him. He seemed like a nice enough guy.
Most of the neighborhood knew about it, but nobody ever stepped forward.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
And how many boys did this man victimize?
Many. I mean, there were 6 to 8 in my group, but there was many before me and my group for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's these are traumas, feelings of not good enough, feelings of less than, unresolved anger. You could imagine the anger in that little boy, the guilt and the shame and the struggle. That's as human beings, when we go through any type of trauma, the body can't process it. So it'll dissociate from it and create the feeling like the trauma never happened. So I would go through my days, and I had a successful network marketing business, as you do, when I was in the business, and I would say, I'm okay. I'm making a great living. That happened, but I'm over it. I was so fucking far from okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I had these ups and downs, these great months, bad months, great months, bad months. And I would continue to self-sabotage. You see, the antenna that was sticking out of my head. Steph, if you remember when you first met me, can you sense that my energy is completely shifted?
You have a much more, it's just like Zen. That's the only Zen. You had a very masculine, like, aggressive energy, and
so that was the antenna. It was anger. You see, I was cordial, and I would greet you. I would be cordial, but you'd feel that energy, and I would want to violate you before you violated me. So that energy would put up that barrier, and this was subconscious. This was subconscious. So all these self-sabotaging behaviors.
How did you discover that because I self-sabotaged. I mean, I know for a fact that I did it in the height of my network marketing career, going through all the miscarriages that I went through. I mean, someone once said, outperform your, what does he say? Outperform your problems. Yeah. And I couldn't. I couldn't
Right.
outperform my problems at that point. I was so shamed and guilty, and I felt just so worthless at that point. Like I was defective or broken, and I had to
Hmm.
let that go. And then, every action has a reaction. So as a
Hmm.
result of that, I spent so many years thinking about, okay, well, what if I didn't do that? What if I did outperform my problems? Oh, what would that have looked like? And why did I allow myself to do? It's like, well, this guilt comes up now. So it's like this cycle that you get yourself into. And for me, yoga was a big part of recognizing when I stepped into the studio. I'm such a busy person. I don't really allow myself a lot of time to think or feel the things that are upsetting me. I stay busy from the time that my feet hit the ground until the time that I lay my head on the pillow. When I got onto the mat and I actually heard the things that I said to myself when nobody was listening, I was like, whoa, I'm a nice person, like generally nice person to every single person I come into contact with, yet I'm beating myself up. So how do people disconnect from all the things of life that keep you in that same hamster wheel cycle, and really tune in and plug into what's happening beneath the surface that keeps you in that place?
A willingness and rigorous honesty,
Mm,
because more often enough, our violators, a lot of the times, are people that are very close to us, and quite often our parents.
yeah. And that's a hard thing to get past. I mean, do you have a relationship with your mother at this point?
My mom's dead.
Oh, okay. Did you resolve anything before she passed, or?
No, I had to resolve everything within myself.
Okay. Wow.
Hmm.
That is definitely something admirable to be able to do, for sure. And what did you notice about who you were attracting? Because we always talk about this attraction factor, especially when you're building a business, you're taking on clients, you're working with people to build teams. You get what you give. So you're attracting that like energy. What's the difference now versus then?
Then I was attracting people in the lower vibrations, in guilt, in shame, in doubt, in disappointment, just like me.
Hmm.
Right. And then as I healed, and really the pain was great enough. The pain got great enough. I had resolved a lot of the major traumas, the mom thing, and the not good enough, and the less than, all that. But the one that I didn't tackle was the molestation. And I spoke about it. I didn't hide anything. I spoke about it to my mindset mentor. I never went into the depths of the trauma. And
Hmm.
finally, one day when the pain was great enough, I was in one of my slumps. One voice was saying, I was saying, what is wrong with me? What? And the other voice would say, Joe, you know exactly what's wrong with you. And I said, you know what? Fuck this. I am not going to live like this anymore. And I picked up the phone and I called Jeffrey. I said, I let him have it. He said, this is the worst case of sexual violations that I've ever heard in my 30-year coaching career.
Wow. And he's heard a lot of stuff.
He's heard a lot of stuff.
He's heard a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
And there began the journey. There began the journey. And as soon as I made that decision to look at that, to really, you want to talk about honesty, I had to look at things people wouldn't even look at. I had to look at why I attracted my molester.
Wow.
Now, attracting doesn't mean it's my fault.
No.
But I had to look at why I attracted him. I wasn't happy that I did it, but I had to look at why I attracted that, because it connected to my mom as well. So these are the things. This is rigorous honesty. This is being able to look at situations for what they are, understand them and process them, and begin to let them go. Because throughout our lives, we all push down, suppress, repress all these feelings. So as human beings, we become this huge reservoir of feelings, and there's nowhere for them to go. It's not like an animal. Like if you see a dog shiver during a thunderstorm, the dog is processing trauma. And after the thunderstorm was over, the dog stops shaking. He doesn't remember what just happened. We can't do that.
It's so true. And I think that, we say in some of the yogic terms that we talk about, this willingness to come apart, because this process that you're talking about, I've gone through it in my own life, and it's not a pretty process, right?
It's not not a pretty process, but it's so worth it.
On the other end.
It
Yeah,
it's so worth it.
it is.
Yes.
And I know that like people, this feeling of discomfort, discomfort, not liking going to those places, because we have the ability as humans somehow, like you said, this reservoir. I think of it as like a box in the brain. You just kind of throw it in the back of your mind and bury it under a whole bunch of stuff and try not to go into that corner of your mind. But after a while, it's like there's so much clutter in there that there's nowhere to move. Like you're just so confined to this little tiny area where it's comfortable. And if you take a step to the right or to the left, you're immediately uncomfortable. So that willingness to ask the hard questions and to really look at what's happening. What kinds of tools or books or things would you recommend that people grab onto if they're willing? You have the willingness to do the work and the willingness to have those honest conversations with yourself and maybe a coach is super important. Beyond that, like those self-help, or as people call them, the shelf help.
Right. And all that stuff has merit, and it really does. I did it for a long time, but it really is all spray paint on the rust. Because if you don't know why you do what you do, you don't understand your predictability, you don't understand where your emotional addictions come from and where they continually pop up in your life, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. But books, Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins, Letting Go. It's a great book, and I've read his entire library. I'm a devotee of Hawkins, and I read the book so many times. But Letting Go would be the first step. Any of his later works are really not going to make much sense to the beginner. This is the start of the Hawkins library, and it's a great way to understand your emotions and to understand the actual mechanism of your brain in letting go.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really when you can go through that process and create the intention to do it, the work is so worth it. It's really so worth it. We've read so many of the same books, Joe. Like literally, I have an entire bookshelf devoted to books to help me to push past those obstacles. So I think that it's super important. Tell people, if they want to, who do you speak to in your coaching practice? Like what types of people do you work with? Who should be looking to learn more about what you're doing?
I work with entrepreneurs. I work with sales professionals. I work with women just like yourself, men and women, just women just like you. You feel stuck and you don't know why. You know there's something more. You feel like there's something in your way and you don't know what it is, but you want more out of life and you know you're stuck. You keep attracting the same people, situations, and relationships into your life, and you don't know why. You don't know why. So people who want more, people who want to heal, people who've been through a lot of the same things I've been through, and 3 out of 5 people have been sexually violated. That's a big number.
I didn't know
that.
It's
a big number. And
wow.
My whole life I asked myself, why me? Why me? Why did that have to happen to me? And I got my answer. Because I can say to people, I know how you feel. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because I do. And because I am on the other side. Because all the trauma that I've been through, I can get people to the other side.
Yeah. That is an amazing thing to recognize in yourself, that you've gone through all this, because I had that same realization with all the miscarriages and stuff that I went through. This medical freedom movement and everything that I've done, if I had an infant or a small child, I don't think I would have the time, ability, or courage to be as involved as I am. I mean, my son is 13. He's in no way an adult, but there's definitely a certain flexibility there for me to be able to really devote some time. So it's like I wasn't able to have a second child, but I was able to, through this work, save so many other children. So there is that realization when you're able to look. But the thing I want to ask you, there are people that don't even know that they're stuck. They just are so used to the way their life is that they don't even know that there's something better or different or something that's meant for them that they can't see right now. How can someone identify when they're stuck? What are like the common things that you see across the board in your practice?
So many. I mean, getting ready to get ready, procrastination, doubt, low self-worth, not feeling worthy, inability to receive, the challenges with asking, doing too much to others, being an addicted, codependent people pleaser, giving, saying yes when you really mean no, giving your power away day after day after day. It's exhausting. But people in that deep place, they hold on. They hold on to that trauma. They hold on to their story like it's a trophy because that's all they've known. That's the only story that they've known. So, if the people are hearing this and that it sounds like you can rewrite a whole new story with a decision. And it's not too late, because I didn't turn the corner on everything until about 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't turn the corner, and I'm 52. You're supposed to tell me how good I look now.
You haven't aged a day since I saw you in Philly, probably like 7 years ago.
Thanks, Steph. Thank you. It's not too late. The addiction tolerance could be really high because the emotional addiction is just like a drug addiction. It's no different, but it's not too late to step into that place, of healing and to meet yourself for the first time.
I love that. Underneath all the layers of all the stuff that we bury ourselves in is like the true essence of who we are. Talk to me a little bit about this codependency, because I'm a recovered people pleaser. And I know that I came from a very codependent situation over the years. I've been able to move away from that. But I think that there is such codependency going on in this country right now. Like, it just seems like people are dependent on others for approval. They're dependent on others to understand and acknowledge where they are and validate their feelings. And codependency is really a dangerous emotion because it limits your personal self-expression, your personal growth and development, because you're so tied up in what's happening with other people and other relationships. So how do you break free from the chains of codependency?
I mean, first step, you'd have to admit it and recognize it and want to stop it. It's exhausting. It's exhausting because you do so much for others and you forget about self. Yeah. You forget about yourself, and you put other people in front of you. Heck, my mom put everybody in front of her family. She was out taking care of everybody else. So she was codependent.
Yeah. And I think people, especially like that have vaccine injured kids, they get so tied up in this role of caregiver and researcher and homeschooler that they almost lose their own identity at certain points, especially now with the fact that so many kids are home. Like, school isn't even an option for many kids. So it's really easy to get caught up in that cycle of putting everyone above yourself, and like somewhere on the bottom of the list, there you are, if you can even find yourself.
If you can even find yourself. So true. And there's anger beneath the codependency, because codependents are giving their power away. For instance, they say yes when they really mean no. They're always doing for others and wondering why nobody's giving them the love back. So there's a lot of resentment and anger that builds, but because the self-esteem is so low, they keep on doing it and doing it and doing it, and they become more disappointed again, disappointed, and they keep chasing disappointment.
Yeah. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it's almost like you have to prove to yourself that there's that certain place that you can get to in your life, and you can't get past that block. Like, it's like you keep banging your head against that wall and you're bleeding and you're bruised, but you're like, see, this is why I'm here, because I can't get past this, because you just have that in your head that whether it's you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you can't. Everybody has those little voices in their head. And I really feel like right now is such a great time with this reset that we're having, the time that we're getting to be able to really look at where we're not living to our fullest potential. Because the truth is, if 2020 has taught us anything, nothing is promised, nothing is guaranteed. People make these lists of things that they want to do, and they never get to do them. And a lot of times what's in their way is just themselves.
Right. And what just came up for me, Steph, was self-talk. And this is a great area where people can begin to focus on, because your dialogue with yourself is either going to determine your action or inaction. So, for instance, so many people, people shame themselves. Oh, I'm so stupid. What's wrong with me? I'm such an idiot. That's serious, because your subconscious cannot separate fact from fiction. So it goes to work to do whatever you say. So because our parents, they think by shaming us, it motivates us, but it does the exact opposite. It leads to all kinds of addictions. So we hear it so much that we become so good at it that we do it to ourselves.
Yep.
And we think, right, here's why we do it. Because we feel that if we don't do it, then that means that we don't care about the very situation that we're shaming ourselves about.
Yes, I love that. It is so true. It is so true. I'm so happy that we connected, because I literally have pulled books off my shelf since talking to you, and like picked up things to look at again, because framing it from where I am now versus where I was 4, 5, even 7 years ago, you could have one point of view one day and just snap your finger, change your mind, and try to look at things in a whole different way. And it really is as simple as a decision. I mean, people overcomplicate so much of what is so easy to do. And I think that making the decision to be uncomfortable, to go through the work, at the end of it, going through the process can be dicey. We know, we've gone through it. But at the end of it, like what you can actually discover about yourself and what's possible is so worth the journey. If you can just take that step, like a lot of people have one toe in the water, like just jump into the pool and discover what you can figure out. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, I became relentless in my healing. When I became relentless and I decided, all the healers began to show up in my life. All the healers began to show up. They showed up.
Acting. It was what you were acting. The antenna changed.
Yes. The vibe changed. The emotional etheric energy changed. Like that. That.
It's great. I love it. I'm so thankful that you took time to come on and to speak to us. So if you're watching this and you're loving what you're hearing, Joe is a dear friend, and he does so much work with entrepreneurs, with people who are just looking to go and do the work on themselves, to get past those previous imposed limits that we all put on ourselves, to not only identify the voice, but to quiet the voice, so that you can raise your vibrational scale, change what you're attracting and inviting into your life, and be able to really improve the overall quality of not only who surrounds you, but who you are in this world. And right now, more than ever, we need to be so focused on our energy, because it really does matter, and it so is contagious. So any closing thoughts, anything that you want to share before we wrap up our conversation?
Absolutely, Steph. The reason why I can remain detached from what's going on is because I have actually risen up in the chart, and I am separate from what's going on. And because they're preying on the lower level emotions is what they're counting on. But because some of us are on a completely different timeline because of where we are on the map of consciousness.
Yeah.
So it's not critical that you do the work so you can begin to grow away from what is happening and detach and learn to detach from it and become, you might be living in this world, but not really be a part of it.
Right. And I think it's important to identify the stressors, the triggers, the things that take you down into that energy space where you don't want to be. And, the sad thing is that unfortunately it might involve, eliminating toxic influences, people that you love from your life. I mean, I've had to remove people from my social media platform that are family members, because it's creating a toxic situation that I don't want to have happen. I am not my Facebook profile. I am a human. I have certain opinions that may differ from other people. But when people start identifying you as this little avatar that posts things and that's all that you are, that's a really toxic energy. And I see people going back and forth and fighting. And it's like, don't waste your energy. Block and delete is the most fabulous thing on the planet on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So use the tools. Use whatever you need to get rid of the toxic influences and make self-care a priority. I think
number one.
We just go through the day, and if you really look at how many times a day you sit still and breathe and do something, go for a walk in nature, take a class, go for yoga, like whatever it is that fills your cup. People do not do that.
Most people aren't breathing. They're all, but up here, right? So what I've become very skilled at is all throughout my day, I breathe like that.
I do it different. So I do the one, and it's really interesting now when I teach yoga because everyone has masks on. So it's take a deep breath in through your nose, fill up belly, chest, and ribs, and then it's like a forceful exhale through the mouth. And there's a 4 square breath. So you can actually do the one, I think that Jeffrey did this with us. It's
Absolutely.
4, holding the breath for 4, exhaling for 4, holding the exhale for 4. But that forceful exhale out of the mouth, like I literally feel like I let something go every time I do that.
Well, it's actually the first step of the letting go process, because that breath begins to rewire new neural pathways in your brain. And if you notice when you do it, you feel calm right away.
Yes.
Because it brings you present. And even if it's just for a second, if you can become really skilled at doing that throughout the day, that's more moments of present moments consciousness. And that adds up. That adds up.
How much time does it take? People say, I don't have time. Literally go into your bathroom or your closet right now, close the door, tell your kids that you'll be back in 10 minutes, and just do some deep breathing. Close your eyes, sit still, concentrate and focus on an intention of what it is that you want to leave feeling. I want to feel calm. I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel joyful. I want to let go of anger and resistance and disappointment and all the things that keep us in that low vibrational state. But you have to first recognize that you're there. And if you're just busying yourself with stuff of the day, having the fake news on in the background, watching all the useless programming and, doing all the things that cause us stress and anxiety, you're basically keeping yourself stuck in a place that's not serving you. So take a look at that chart. Is that something that they can find online, that vibrational chart that you talked about?
Absolutely, Steph. They can Google map of consciousness, and it all has, they come in different shapes, but the colors are about the same, and the words are about the same, and the numbers are the same. So they can see it. They'll see it in probably a funnel shape on Google too. So it all works. It all works.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much. Check out Joe DiBianca. Go to joedibianca.com. I have the banner here, so check it out. And if you're not currently following me, we heard yesterday, I don't know if you heard Larry Cook, who is a huge social influencer on social media. He and 2 of the admins of his group were taken off of Facebook and Twitter. Their accounts were just discontinued without any warning of any kind. So they're no longer on the platform. So censorship is happening. If you are someone who is brave enough and vibrating at a high enough level to be truth-telling and sharing information that's uncomfortable, just know that nothing is safe. Nothing is promised on these social media platforms. It is really important at this moment in time that we are connecting outside of this social media bubble. So if we're not currently connected, please join my tribe. Text Revolution to the number 33777. So the phone number is 33777. The message is Revolution. This is going to automatically add you into a text platform that I use. You do need to go back in if you want to be on an email list to confirm that you want to be on the email list. So definitely do that now. And, know about the fact that we have different options. So Parler, MeWe, I'm on all of them. But one of the things I want you to know is we need to support, and Joe, you should look into this too, if you do podcasts. Brio TV is basically the spearhead influence of creating a censorship-free platform where we can truth tell, we can share information that is important to us. If you're not currently on Brio TV, go on and use the Freedom Warriors as your discount code for your monthly subscription. We are going to build out this platform to take over YouTube and all these censorship-free platforms. We have to remember to support the people that support our truth, to support the people that support us to live our best life, to live at a higher vibration. And truth is high vibration. When you're authentic and you're speaking the things that you know are your truth deep in your core, that is a vibration level that we need right now. So make sure that you are engaging with truth-telling platforms. Do the work, people. I know times are tough. I know that they're uncertain, but there is always room for self-improvement. There is always room for self-care, for self-exploration and self-discovery. And that is how we channel the energy to be strong enough and brave enough and bold enough to have the conversations that we so desperately need to be having right now. We need our warriors strong. We need them healthy, and we need to be connected on a level where we know if this platform goes away tomorrow, that we can reach each other. So continue to do the work. Know that I'm always here to support you. Joe is here to support you. We are both committed to making sure that people are vibrating at the highest level possible. We're going to be rolling out our High Vibe Tribe Mastermind calls for our Freedom Family. So if you're not part of our Freedom Family and you don't know what the Freedom Family means, reach out to me. I can share some information with you and get you on one of our next calls. Please continue to do the work. Be bold, be brave, be the change that you wish to see in the world. There is no higher vibration than that. And know that if we keep showing up, we keep rising up, we keep doing the work, that we will win against the evil forces that are at play right now. We just have to have the faith and have the courage and the strength to keep going, even when it feels like we can't go anymore. We are never alone, and we will win this. So thank you so much, Joe, for being here, for sharing your wisdom. I love the breathing. I love the Zen energy. I love you. I'm so happy that we're reconnected. And thank you everybody for tuning in, for being here. Sending you all so much love, so much light, so many good vibes, and big, big hugs. Have a beautiful rest of the night. Thank you.
Good night. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.